Hello everyone, Linda Israel here, and I'm working on a garden junk journal, and this is going to be the cover. This is a screen printed piece of canvas from Canvas Corp Brands, and I can't remember the name, but I'll have it on the screen for you. And it is printed as I think it's a 15, it's a 15 or 17 by 13. And I've asked them at Canvas Corp Brands if they could make some going the other direction. So be on the lookout for that. But we're going to make do with what I have here. So I have a junk journal that I want to use this on, but I know it's not going to be enough to cover all of my pieces of chipboard. So what I'm going to do is look at this and decide where I want to start and begin. So this is going to be the front on my journal, and this is going to be on the back of my journal where the bunnies are. And I've got an extra piece of canvas here, and what I will do is overlap these, and it will wrap around to the back and have a really nice look. So I'm laying this out here to look at where I want the image to fall. I'm going to put all the pieces that I'm going to use so I have a good understanding. And I think I don't want this piece in the back to go all the way, so I'll probably trim that. And I'm coming down on this image because there's this white void area at the top, okay? And then I need at least about a ½ an inch to an inch is ideal to wrap over my chipboard on this side. So I'm just kind of going away from that. And you know, my measurements are all based upon the pages, and I guess I could stop and explain this just a little bit. When I have my pages, I measure how tall they are versus how wide they are. And whatever that measurement is, then I add just a little bit more, about 1/4 an inch to ½ an inch more for all the two sides, because this is going to be flush. So it's not an exact science, and the measurements are going to be different every time, and there's no right size or wrong size to make a journal. It's whatever size you want to make. But that's how I determine it. Take my paper, it's closed as a book page, give about 1/4 an inch bigger, and that should be enough to protect your pages. Does that make sense? The spine is the height of the book, the same as you're going to make for the cover, front and back, and that is determined, the width, by how thick your page is. So when you take all of your signatures and stack them up, how far apart does this go when you measure that? And in my case, I find that 1½ inches is a pretty good size for a 3 signature journal that has, let's see, 45 pages, or 60 pages in it. All right, so we kind of have an idea now, and I'm probably rambling. So we have an idea of about where I want to cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this off on the bottom down here, because I don't want to mess with all this excess canvas. And I'll save this. I may use it for the pocket on the inside. Now, looking at this, I know that I want this bunny to kind of wrap around, but I don't want this to end right in the middle of my signature. So if I cut this right about there, so I'm just going to take this and cut it straight up. I think that's pretty straight for cutting with scissors. Alrighty, so if I look at this again, and then we overlap this, that's going to come to right about there in my journal. So I like the way that looks pretty good. And what I'm going to do next is cut this other piece of canvas. Let me scroll it over here. So it's too wide or too tall and then too wide. So I'm going to cut off this excess over here. I'm just figuring how much to cut off for the height. Alright, so now I'm pretty confident how I want this to look. So I am overlapping the canvas. I'm going to test it again to see where I need all of my pieces to be. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I want to adhere this piece of canvas to the screen printed. So I'm just going to go right down the leading edge of the canvas. And I'm going to do the same on this one. Kind of make a little squiggle. And then I'll lay these on top of each other. And then I have a bone folder, and what I'm going to do is just gently press this. Then you want to make sure that you're on a non-stick surface. You don't want to be on a pad of paper because the glue can seep out. And then you'll have a mess because it will have stuck to your paper. Ask me how I know. Alright, so that's how that's going to look on the other side of my journal. Now once I've got that joined, this is a no-sew cover, so I'm just going to glue the whole thing on here. And I like to start in the center. It just seems that it makes it better for me to do it, and I put glue on the spine piece and do a zigzag of glue. And again, this is just Aleene's tacky glue. And I'm going to lay this back in here. You want a little bit of a gap between your cover and the spine. And I'm going to use my bone folder and just gently press this. And basically what I'm doing is just squeezing that glue out. And I find doing it on the chipboard side, I don't end up with wrinkles in my fabric. If you start with a nice smooth piece of fabric, it goes a lot easier. So iron your fabric if you want it super smooth. And I'm just putting the glue on the side panels and smoothing it out as I did with the spine. And then the next thing we'll do is the corners. I do not cut the corners. I take glue and make a triangle on the corner and then just fold it in. I find that if you do this neatly, you get a really nice corner, and because there's this double thickness of fabric here, it helps protect your corners so they don't get bent up. Again, I'm using my bone folder to smooth out that glue, and then I'll just go down the sides next, doing the edges and a zigzag, and then I'll fold this over to the inside and then smooth it with my bone folder. Now I'm using a lot of glue, but at the same time I'm not using that much. If you use too much, your covers will start to warp and buckle. So you want to make sure that you just use precisely the right amount. And I can usually tell because it just barely beads up on top of the fabric. And because I'm putting, you know, little zigzag marks and the lines, when I smush it out with my bone folder, it's enough glue. So you don't have to saturate it where it's soaking through to the other side. See, hardly any is coming out on this leading edge when I press it. If you're getting tons of glue coming out, then you're using too much. Tip of the day. Alright, so there is the cover on the outside. Got a nice line back here. I could have gone over further, but I wanted some of that bunny, and I got a little bit of the baby bunny there. And I just thought that was kind of a neat garden cover. So let's work on the insides. The inside pieces I cut just about 1/4 of an inch smaller in the height and the width, so that when it's placed on here, it's within the cover boundaries. On scrapbook paper, 12 by 12, what I will do is I'll figure out what the height is, and I will make this cut first, and that'll leave me a strip over here. Then I'll cut this measurement, and then on this strip I'll cut the same height, and I use this size because it's really great to cover on both sides in here in the journal. I've got my distress ink pad here, so what I'm going to do is add just a little bit of distressing on this green. And I want to round the corners. You don't have to, I'm just going to do it on the top because I'm going to put pockets on the bottoms. And then I'm going to add distress ink around the edge here. So I had a little bit of the printed canvas left over, and I think I want to make pockets, but I don't think it's enough. Well, I can fudge it. Alright, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this piece of canvas that's left over, and I like to wrap fabric around cardstock when I'm making a pocket. Unless you can completely sew it down, this just seems to work best for me. And then what I'm going to do next is I don't need the pocket to be as deep, but I think I might trim this one to be a little shorter. Actually, I'm not going to trim it. I'm going to glue that edge down. I think it gives a nice contrast. What do you think? That give it a nice little contrast on there? And then I'm going to do this the same way, I think. Yeah, I'm just turning it a different way. That should still work. And I get the flour and the eggs. Since we got the cheekies on the other side, so I'm going to turn these over, and what I'll do is I'll kind of line it up. Since I've got my mat here that has a grid, I can figure out how to make these pretty even so I don't end up with one pocket that looks really wonky compared to the other. Alright, and I'll trim off any little bits and pieces so that it doesn't interfere. And then what I'm going to do is kind of the same with the cover. I'm going to fold these corners in first. And sometimes I just use glue stick for this. When working with canvas, it's a little bit harder to get to stay in place. So you may have to use the tacky glue, but sometimes you can use a glue stick just to put enough on here to hold this in place until you can glue the whole pocket down. So I've done the corners here, and now I'm going to flip up the sides and the bottom. I'm just going to repeat that on the other cover. So there's the pockets. Don't those look cute with the flap? Oh, I like it. Alright, so now, which comes first? The chicken or the eggs? So I'm going to get this in the order I think I want it. I'm going to glue down the spine first. So what I'll do is I'll take glue all the way around the perimeter of my inside cardstock, and I'm going to do a zigzag. And then on the journal itself, I'm going to go right on both sides of the seam here and add a little bit more in the zigzag there. And then we're going to center this top and bottom and left and right. I'm going to use my bone folder, and I'm going to press and press until I have this nice and smooth. Alright, and then I'll lift the side to find where the seam is, and I'll use my bone folder in that crease and keep pressing for a moment. Kind of bend it a few times, and because I'm bending it so soon after gluing it, you'll have to smooth it back out again. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So now I want my pockets on here, and I will glue those down by putting glue right up to the edge, all the way around, and then making a big zigzag in the middle. And this is going to be centered from top to bottom, and matching it to the height of the spine piece and close to the edge in the front. Got a little excess glue coming out. And then I'm going to press this. Repeat. Alright, so there is my cover. Here's the outside. And then when you open it up, the inside will have pockets. It's time to put my signatures in. Here is my template that I use. My video cut out because apparently I'm talking too much today and my memory card got full. So I was showing you that in the center, and then I have these about 1/2 inch apart, and basically you're just making the 3 signature holes so that it's consistent on your journal. I'm going to poke 9 holes, which I've done with the Tim Holtz craft pick. And the next one I'm going to do is do the signatures. So I open up my signatures that I have paper clipped together, binder clip, however you can keep them together. And then I'm going to punch the holes in the V to make sure all my pages are stacked neatly together and my template is centered. And it's just 3 holes on each one. So I got 3 holes down the center. I'm going to do the other one and continue on. I save my templates because they seem to work on other journals too. Next I have my bookbinder's needle. This is a heavier needle than for sewing with yarn. And then I've got wax linen thread, and I have links to these if you're interested in purchasing them from Amazon. I do get a commission and the price isn't higher if you don't use my link. So if you're going to buy anyway, please use my link. So I'm going to measure 3 times the height of the journal, and I need 3 pieces because I've got 3 signatures. So I'll just go ahead and cut those at once. So what I like to do is determine what I want as my first, second, and third signature, and I think that's the way I want them to be in my journal. So I'm going to start with the center, and what I do is open it up to the center hole and match the center hole to the journal cover. And then I'm going to pull this thread through, but I'm going to hang on to the tail so it doesn't go all the way through. Then I'm going to go up to this top hole. I've got it wrapped around to the top hole, and it may be hard for you guys to see, but I can see it. I'm going to poke through there, and then I'm going to poke through the book pages as well. Going carefully not to pull my thread all the way through. I'm going to pull this tight. I'm going to pull this thread up towards me and then take my needle and go right through the center of the book again. Making sure to hold on to my tail. Hold on to your tail! And then we're going to go to the top, middle. Make sure I got it right there. And match the pages. And then I pull from the bottom and slip under this top thread. And then I'll pull these in opposite directions. And I'll make sure this is tight here and here. In here there's not a bunch of slack. So I'll pull tight again. And then I will tie 2 knots. This is a square knot. You can cut off the excess or leave it. I may put some dragonflies on there. So now you can remove the paper clips. And that signature is in. So we're going to repeat this same process with the other 2 signatures. Alright, all the signatures are put in the journal. This is my garden junk journal with a canvas cover that's been screen printed. I love the way that looks. It has 3 signatures of 5 sheets of paper, which makes 60 pages in this journal. It has a pocket here in the front that is made out of cardstock and canvas that was printed. This is one of the Calico Collage Garden Fresh digital journal pages. The back side is sprayed with Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist through a stencil that I made, and then I've got some stamping. This is a file folder that's from 7 Gypsies that I put on here, and you can write on them or attach photos, and there's a little journaling card, and then I use this green jute or cord, this is jute, to tie it shut. And I just thought that turned out really cute. And then you can hardly see it, but right here there's an envelope that's attached. And when you open this page up, this was an envelope that had a return address to a company that we no longer own in the family. So I just put it on there. And then this opens up so you can write or add photos. Graph paper that's been sprayed with Tattered Angels and stamped. This is another stencil that I made. Another Calico Collage page. This is an inventory tag that I got from Canvas Corp Brands. This was kind of like a grab bag type thing. This is a little herb parsley that I made from using my Cricut and cardstock. It was kind of fun to piece that together. And then this is a book page behind it. And then here is one of the envelopes in the kit for Calico Collage. And it has really cute garden items on them. And then here's some more folders. These don't have journaling cards in them. I may put some in it later. And then I tried to put seeds. I picked some seeds up for $4 at the Dollar Tree, even though they say 99 cents. So I thought, well, this would be kind of fun to put in a journal, get you started. This is one of those special folded pages, and I've got a tutorial for the winter page, junk journal page, so you can see how I do that. And then this is one of the Calico Collage images. This is as well. More stamping. The other side of that letterhead. And then on this, I glued down an envelope first, and only glued the size in a U, and then I glued a piece of book page over that and left the opening. So there's a pocket here, and you can put things in the envelope. Ha! I thought that was cute. This is another one of the pieces that I created with my Cricut. It's a little bird stamp. There's the second signature. Has a recipe card. This is an add-on from Calico Collage. I use the Calico Collage page over a dictionary page. This is from Canvas Corp Brands. It's beautiful watercolor paper, so whoever ends up with this journal, definitely watercolor on this. Add lots of mixed media to it if you like. Coloring book page. Another seed packet, and this says, to plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow. Audrey Hepburn. And then this is one of the corners from Calico Collage. This is paper from 7 Gypsies behind here, and then this is from the kit. Here's a watercolor card that I stamped, book page, and then I'm going to have a tutorial soon showing you how I made my own washi tape. Look, this is denim from Canvas Corp Brands, and I made a little pocket that you can put stuff in. This is a little bag that's made into a pocket here and a pocket there and a pocket behind. So you can have lots of goodies in there. There's a pocket here. It's another journaling card. More journaling cards. I had some pages out of an old gardening book. There's a journaling card here. This is a mini bag from Canvas Corp Brands. More Tattered Angels. This is another one of my stencils that has butterflies on it. Peppers. Journal card. This was a page out of a gardening book They have lots of beautiful pictures. That's what's on the edge here and behind here. And I just cut it up and it became elements that went with the garden theme. Here's a journal card I made. This is also a tuck spot here. Another journal card, and that's a tuck spot there. Another bird. There's another, this is an altered paper clip on the page, made out of a book page. Lots of page, I'm saying. It's got old dictionary page, and then it's just an envelope that this is some more images from Calico Collage. These are an add-on that you can get in artist trading card size, but I shrink them. Another one of the Cricut Create cuts. And then here's the back pocket. And this is some paper from Seven Gypsies that I'm sticking in there. So there's my garden junk journal using the Calico Collage digital kit and Canvas Corp's screen printed canvas. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, comment below. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. And I appreciate you watching. I hope that you learned something new today. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a creative day. Bye.